Welcome to A Word from the Wise. This month we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to tell you about some new things, some old things and some useful things. So they've been recorded as 3 separate videos for use on the website, but we're going to merge them together so that you can see all of them together on our YouTube channel, and if you are not watching, then you can listen on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Might be useful if you get the opportunity to watch it on YouTube though, because we do show some of the new products and also some of the old products, and just give you an overview of what you can use things for. So it's probably worth having a look on YouTube if you can, because we will have the products actually in the videos this time, because they are for use on the website. But having said that, it doesn't matter too much if you're just listening, because we will describe them as well. Thank you very much. Hello, today we're going to talk about the Teltonika Ethernet products. This is a fairly new range to us. We historically we've done the 4G and 5G stuff, and it's sold very well, and we've been very impressed with the quality and specification of the Teltonika range. More recently they've brought out some switches and some Ethernet routers and a Wi-Fi router. We also have a UPS, so we shall go through each of these, and this is going to be quite a quick video really. It's just a brief overview of what's what. So with regard to switches, that they all begin TSW with a bunch of different names. So Daniel, what sort of thing do they have to offer for us?
In particular, all of them are similar to the Teltonika routers. They're all industrial grade switches really, so they're very well made, very reliable, quite
all
heavy
this metal
and satisfying to hold.
They are. I like this metal. It just has a quality feel to it, doesn't it really?
Yeah, and I like the ridges on it. So it can easily be mounted just on a desk or DIN rail mounted. You can even attach like a surface clip mount to it, which Teltonika also do. So because it's obviously got a similar structure, well almost identical structure and size to loads of the routers. So a lot of the little bits and pieces Teltonika do that work for them also work for this range of switches.
We have quite a nice range of DIN rail mountings as well, don't we? The plastic ones, the metal ones and so on, that fit in these ridges on the side, like you say, so you could hang it on the wall, or on your DIN, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other end of the DIN's called. Yes, but it is a DIN, isn't it really? Yeah, in fact, all of these things do that. So even these routers have got the fixings for that, and the UPS too. So it's quite good that these actually all of the same housing, don't they? Those routers, and then we've got this bigger router that's a slightly different shaped housing, but again still has the DIN rail mountings slots in there as well. So the switches, they do 10, 100 ones and gig ones. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So here we've got the TSW 110. So obviously that's a smaller size one.
Yeah.
And that would be the 10100.
Yeah.
But then if you're looking at, obviously, you'd say higher end switches, so ones that have more ports than this and better throughput capacities, you'd be looking at stuff like the TSW 200, which is gigabit and has a beefy power supply to go with it. Yeah.
Well, talking of power supplies, I noticed in some of the specs it says you can use a range of power supplies with them. So how does that work? Is that dependent on what you're looking to power out of it, for instance, over PoE or?
That's basically it. Yeah. So for the ones that are PoE models, ones that do power over Ethernet, they have multiple power supplies, because to an extent they can only output what you put into them. So if you're not going to be powering very many devices and you don't need a very heavy duty power supply, you can get a relatively low one. I don't remember the exact voltage.
Yeah, well, we offer 2, don't we?
Yeah, we have 2.
So
I think there's probably more that could work. And so if you don't need much power, you'd go for the lower one, and that'll cover a few devices, and if that's all you need, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And then if you were thinking of using one of however many ports there are, 16, if you had that many devices, you'd be looking at the higher end one to manage that level of power.
Yeah. Excellent. So the Ethernet routers, which is this one, the RUT 300 and the RUT X08, to be fair, I'm not sure we do much in the way of Ethernet routers these days, but historically, even before your time, we used to sell a lot of Ethernet routers. So it might be that that's something that comes back now that we've got a nice quality range of them in. So this one is the RUT 300, which is the 10100 5-port one, and then they do the gig one, which is the RUT X08, which only has 4 ports. But again, that does the range of power supplies as well, which I thought was interesting. But, and the other thing I noticed that obviously switches don't use the RMS, but these Ethernet routers and this wireless router can be used on the remote management system as well.
Yeah, because they have, you know, proper web interfaces where you can do configuring on them, so they're also compatible with Teltonika's remote management RMS.
Yeah.
So you can remotely manage however many you've got if you've got different sites, just like you can with the routers.
And talking of RMS, we've just started doing the 5-year and 10-year licenses as well, so that's maybe something people might be interested in looking at.
Yeah, if you have these kind of Teltonika devices in very long-term situations, and you know you're going to be needing these remote management capabilities consistently for a long time. Obviously you can still buy the regular 1-month licenses per device and just buy however many of them that you would need. But if you know you're definitely going to be needing a lot of them, then there's now these bulk credits that you can buy basically, which is obviously, you can say 1 year, 5 year, however many, all into one credit that you apply to the device, and then that device is sorted for the year or however long. And obviously you get a slightly better price on that than if you were to buy all of them individually.
Yeah. Excellent. And then there's the Wi-Fi router, the RUT X10. We've only got the one Wi-Fi router at the moment, but that's quite a chunky beast, that, isn't it? It's quite, It's really quite a heavy feel, but again, the same quality that Teltonika we've come to expect from Teltonika, the same metal boxing, the again with the DIN rails and so on. You can see this is the Wi-Fi one. If you're watching this on video, it's got the Wi-Fi ports on there. There's actually a Bluetooth antenna with this one as well, which then I suppose lastly leads us on to the BAT 120.
Yeah, so a UPS, obviously uninterruptible power supply, and that is what you would use with another Teltonika device, like another router or one of these.
Could you use it with something else, or is it designed just for Teltonika stuff?
It's designed just for Teltonika stuff.
Right.
That's the bits it comes with is.
Oh, and I can see because of the power supply situation as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And because of the special power, like the 4-pin power sockets that I've not really seen anywhere else other than Teltonika.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you add these routers in locations where you get lots of power cuts, which can sometimes, because power cuts can sometimes just like mess with things and make it so that you need to go there and do a reset or something on it to get it sorted again, because it can knock it off. Or if you just want 100% guaranteed, continuity at all times, if it's like a very important scenario where you can't be down on your network.
So that's not aimed specifically just at businesses. That's something you could have in your home as well, isn't it?
If you needed to guarantee that you're not going to lose your network when a power cut goes down, if you're expecting power cuts often, which sometimes people do if they're in.
In the back of beyond, perhaps.
Yeah. Or if you're just in an area with the council's doing dodgy work on the power.
Well, there's something in what you say there.
Yeah. That can definitely have its use, and it means that if your power goes out, it'll continue running just fine.
Yeah. Sounds good. Excellent. I don't think there's much more to say about these other than the DIN stuff, the DIN rails and so on we do. We do a whole bunch of accessories, spare power supplies, 12-volt power supplies, car chargers and so on. Yeah,
and we just wanted to shed a light on them to make sure people are aware that we do them.
Yeah, with it being the newer range.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And not what you'd always expect from Teltonika.
No, because it's not the 4G, 5G stuff, is it? Which is what they've become predominantly known for, I think, in the UK. So, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Welcome to a little chat about the PoE Home Plug. Historically, Soulwise has been very well known for Homeplug, and certainly, probably whilst you were still at school, we were very well known for Homeplug back in the day, which makes me sound old. So we started off a long time ago with the Neverwire range, and then went into selling the Soulwise range. The only one we have left now is the PoE one. We don't sell the others anymore because at the end of the day you can buy them in Tesco's now, and they're so cheap that those sorts of places just get better buying quantities, and so we can't really compete anymore. But no one seems to be doing the PoE one like what we do.
Yeah, it's a bit of a niche product, which is why it's good that we still have them.
It's very niche, and certainly during the lockdown period at the beginning of COVID, we sold quite a lot of these for the work from home crowd wanting to power things like what would they power? The VoIP phones, I suppose, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and access points if they needed Wi-Fi elsewhere. And yeah, it's a 1200 AV2 model, which, as you can kind of tell with the name, that means it's got a through capacity of 1200 megabits. Not that you're gonna get that through Powerline products anyway, because of mains wiring. But that is what it's capable of. So it's not going to be a limiting factor in and of itself in terms of your speeds. And obviously, just to generally go over how home plugs work, you would have one home plug device connected into your network directly. Typically, that's going to be connected directly to your router with an Ethernet cable, and then any other home plug devices plugged in on the same phase of your mains wiring. They all communicate, they communicate network traffic over the mains wiring to each other. So it's a very easy way of getting your network to like remote areas of your house that would usually be quite difficult to achieve, because you might need a good Wi-Fi mesh backbone, or ideally, Ethernet cables being run along that way, which isn't always feasible, or at least isn't always quick and easy to do like Homeplugs are, which are literally plug and play. And the specific niche of this PoE model is that it supports PoE, Power over Ethernet. So you can use it to power devices in areas where perhaps, well, some devices can only be powered by PoE first of all, so that's already very convenient. But if you've got devices that need to be potentially quite far away from where any power socket is, and your power cables can't reach, that's where PoE can be really useful, because obviously you've got an Ethernet cable going between the two, and distance isn't really going to come into that at any level that you're going to reach, at least, because it's got a limit of like, let's say 40-50 meters. So anywhere within that, you're going to be able to power these devices. It's typically used for stuff like IP cameras and Wi-Fi access points, and also VoIP phones, like you said. So it's got quite a wide range of things you can power with it. And it means you've got you can have a computer or, well, cameras at the opposite end of your house where you don't have a network at all. But with these home plugs, you can connect it directly into your network without needing to have any kind of infrastructure along the way. That's
quite handy if you've got a single socket, for instance. You can plug the home plug in, connect your camera or your VoIP phone in via the cable, powers it, and creates the network connection all at the same time.
Yeah, so you don't need anything else there, like an Ethernet cable running all the way, or a Wi-Fi repeater or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's essentially networking over the mains.
Yep.
Yeah.
And power.
And power, yeah. So that's the last of the Soulwise home plugs. We will continue to do these going forward, because it, like we said earlier, it's a niche product that no one else seems to have jumped on board. And whilst we don't sell, tens of thousands, we there is still a need for it. I think that some of the other home plug suppliers don't seem to have spotted. So yeah, a nice, good little product that sells quite well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hello, today we want to talk to you, or give you a bit of a reminder, I suppose, of the Patriot kits we do. There's been a bit of an update, hasn't there, really, over the last year, where we don't do the 2.4 one on its own anymore, and
Yeah.
a bit of a change around in the kits. So we thought we'd just give you a bit of an overview about the kits as we head into the season. We're just at the beginning of March. It will be the time people are thinking about the Wi-Fi to go on their motorhomes and caravans and so on.
Yeah.
And it's that time of year where we start getting the calls. So just a reminder, we do 2 kits. We do the one that has just a 2.4 gig Patriot in, and then we do one that's got the dual band Patriot. So that's this one, that's the dual band one, isn't it?
I believe on the website, the 2.4 gig only one we call something like the Patriot AF kit.
That's right, yeah.
And then the dual band one is something along the lines of the 3000 AC kit.
Yeah.
So that's how you can differentiate them, other than obviously reading the specs and seeing.
But they both come with the Patriot, which is a USB device, and they come with the USB router.
Yeah, the 3000.
Which is just 2.4 gig, isn't it? So
yeah.
Even with the dual band Patriot, it's still a 2.4 gig router. So how does that work then? You could connect to a 5 gig network using the Patriot and then distribute it inside your motorhome over 2.4.
The router itself isn't technically having anything to do with whatever Wi-Fi signal it's trying to pick up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that it can only broadcast 2.4, because it can still receive the 5 gig signal via the USB Patriot.
Yeah.
And obviously the main use of these kits, or the main use that we tend to see customers using, is they have them in their camper vans and caravans and that kind of thing, while they're on campsites and just public sites which have a publicly available Wi-Fi signal that isn't always the strongest. And also obviously if you're in something like a camper van or caravan, which is a metal exterior acting as like a Faraday cage to block out wireless signals, basically, it can be difficult to get a good and reliable Wi-Fi signal to all your devices. And that's why people tend to go for this kit, one of these 2 kits, because what it allows you to do is you've got your Patriot USB device on the outside, which is picking up the Wi-Fi signal directly from the air that it's surrounding, and that brings it in on a USB cable right into the little router, which can then broadcast it as Wi-Fi that all your devices can pick up on, and because it's inside with them, it's a much stronger signal for them.
And you don't just have to use it in motorhomes and caravans. There's boats you could use it in. You could even use it in your at home, I suppose. There's certain, if you've got a garden shed or something, one of these garden bars that people we're seeing more and more.
Yeah, it's quite versatile, because there's not really much to it. It's 2 bits of kit.
Yeah. One
of which is very easy to mount outside anywhere. Comes with its own mounting bracket.
That's
obviously.
it. I was just going to say about the bracket. We designed the bracket ourselves, so it's an exclusive Soulwise design. It actually does say Soulwise on the back. Made in the UK as well. So the rest of it might all have links to China, but this is made in the UK, in Hull no less, or Hessle I think it's made actually, isn't it? And then it can be mounted with suction cups, or there is a U-bolt,
Jubilee clips,
and so on. Yeah, so you can mount it wherever it needs to be. Probably quite handy actually if you've got one of these motorhomes that's got a ladder on the back. I always think they're always quite good for mounting this sort of thing. But it's not a permanent mount, this.
No,
you take this down whilst you're travelling.
Yeah, if you're actually travelling with whatever you've got it on, you obviously take it down. Yeah. So it doesn't get knocked off.
The other thing to note as well is the Patriot, we sell it on its own. So if you didn't want, I suppose if you were on your own, that might be alright, mightn't it? If you didn't want to share it with anything else.
If you only had one device that needs it, and if that device has a USB port, so if you've got a laptop or computer, you can connect the Patriot directly into it, and use it as basically a Wi-Fi adapter to pick up Wi-Fi from outside and bring it straight into your computer. So you wouldn't be rebroadcasting the Wi-Fi inside, but you would be bringing the connection inside directly into your device.
I
And
don't think so many people use it like that though, do they?
no, just because most people have at least 2 devices, and usually they want it on a tablet or phone, which doesn't have the right kind of USB
Indeed, yeah.
port on it. But we do sometimes have that pop up with people that are using laptops. So it's if you do have that kind of scenario, then you save a bit of cost on that just buying the antenna.
Well, that's it. It's an option, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
the thing. And we do the single unit as an Ethernet version as well, not USB. So why would somebody want an Ethernet one as opposed to a USB one?
Yeah.
Can you explain that to us?
Ethernet one is technically a different type of device, but it heavily resembles it, and it can be used in the same way if configured to do so. It's quite versatile. But yeah, the Ethernet one we do, the Patriot DB, is as it comes, it's a Wi-Fi access point, which means you would plug it into your network and it would broadcast Wi-Fi out, say, to the surrounding area.
So that's real useful. So like, for instance, I've got one of those on the back of my house, and what that does is it then distributes the Wi-Fi across the garden. We've got like a patio area and a deck and a summer housey thing. So that just distributes it out there, and anyone who visits can hop on the Wi-Fi of that one. We've got that separate from our home network from inside. So it's quite handy for that sort of thing for guests in the summer when we're enjoying the British summer.
For a week, yeah.
Yeah.
The week in the summer where it can be enjoyed.
That's it, July the 10th.
Yeah. And as I said, obviously it's quite versatile, so although it can be used for that, and that's probably its main use, it's just equally as possible to use it for the opposite function. So you'd have it on the outside of wherever, your house, your camper van, but instead of being used to broadcast Wi-Fi out, it can also be configured to pick up an external Wi-Fi and bring it down on its Ethernet cable into your network router, your computer directly, or into this repeater, and use it in the same way like that.
So essentially then, the Patriot DB does a send and receive, or can be used to send and receive, whereas the USB one is essentially a receiver.
Yeah.
If you think about it in simple terms for my simple brain, that seems to be the easiest way to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should also point out that the standalone Patriot USB that we do on the website, the Patriot USB A, obviously that's a dual band version.
Yeah.
It won't work with any of the older RPT 3000 router models,
Right.
From about, say, I've sort of lost track of the years because of COVID and stuff, but about two years ago, if your router's older than about 2 years, or basically if it's on the firmware version v1.2 or earlier, it won't work
Right.
with this dual band one. It has to be a 2.4 gigahertz version, which we no longer have in stock.
All right. So you'd essentially have to buy a new kit then.
Yeah, if you needed to.
Yeah.
But if your version is on version 1.3 or above, then it will be compatible with the new one, so you'd have to worry.
So if you had the 2.4 gig only one and you wanted to put a dual band one on something just a bit newer, and that should be fine then. You'd only need to then buy the Patriot, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. As usual, you can get our podcast on YouTube and watch us there, or you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can email us, sales@soulwise.co.uk, or if you've got any ideas for future podcasts, that would be really useful. Again, email in, or email me directly, louise@soulwise.co.uk. Visit our website for further information on all the products that we feature. Thank you very much.